They say old age is a gift. But I wonder what kind of gift comes wrapped in silence, loneliness, and the faint smell of antiseptic. I'm 83 years old, and I've been sitting in this same padded armchair for the last 47 days. No visitor, no calls. Just the memory of a little girl's voice calling me Grandpa one last time as the door clicked shut behind her. That was the last sound I heard before everything changed. I didn't always live here. I had a home, 2 stories, blue shutters, a small garden out front where my wife, Lorraine, used to grow daisies. She passed 8 years ago. Since then, it's been me and the house. And the memories. My daughter, Clara, said she worried about me living alone. Said it was dangerous. "You might fall down the stairs, Dad," she said. "You forget to lock the doors. You leave the stove on." And maybe she was right. I was getting forgetful. Maybe I did repeat the same stories at dinner. Maybe I asked the same question twice. But that's not a crime, is it? Not a reason to be thrown away like an old sweater with holes in the sleeves. I still remember the day it happened too clearly. It was a Thursday. I just made us tea, chamomile, Clara's favorite. My granddaughter Ellie was sitting on the floor drawing a picture of a unicorn. Her tongue poked out slightly when she colored just like her mother used to do. Clara was on the phone in the kitchen whispering. I thought maybe it was work. Then a van pulled up in front of the house. 2 men in white uniforms, a clipboard, a suitcase. Confusion hit me like a gust of wind. "Dad," she said, "we're going for a little drive." I asked where. She didn't answer. Ellie gave me a hug so tight I could feel her heartbeat against my chest. "I'll see you soon, Grandpa," she whispered. But I never did. The nursing home was beige. That's the only word I can use to describe it. Beige walls, beige food, beige faces, a place where color goes to die. They took my things, my watch, my wallet, even my shoelaces. Said it was for my safety. I didn't even get to keep Ellie's drawing. I don't think Clara meant to hurt me. I truly don't. She's a good person. She works hard. She has a family. Maybe she thought this was the best solution. A safe place with nurses and medications and daily meals. Maybe she thought I'd adjust. But what she didn't realize is that when you put someone in a place like this, you don't just take them out of their home. You take them out of their life. Days here don't pass, they melt. Morning turns to night without a single event to mark the hours. There's a calendar on the wall, but the staff forget to flip it. I think it's still on April. It's August now, or maybe September. Hard to say. There are others here too. Old men with folded arms and blank eyes. Women in wheelchairs who speak only in whispers. We nod at each other sometimes. That's the extent of our connection. No one talks about the families they had. It hurts too much. I've left 6 voicemails for Clara. No answer. I asked the receptionist if she's been by. "Not since the day she checked you in," the woman said without looking up. "Ellie is 10 now, or maybe 11. She loved playing dress-up. She'd wear Lorraine's old scarves and pretend to be a queen. I wonder if she still remembers me. I wonder if she thinks I died. Because in a way I did. Just not the kind of death you get a funeral for. Sometimes I sit by the window and hope. Hope for a car to pull in. Hope for the familiar shuffle of Clara's footsteps. Hope for the squeal of Ellie's laughter. But all I get is the sound of birds. The sound of buses passing. The sound of the hallway television playing reruns of shows I never liked. I think back to that hug. The last real human touch I've felt in months. The last time someone looked at me like I mattered. I replay it every night before I fall asleep, afraid that one day I might forget even that. People think nursing homes are filled with old people who are well taken care of, but that's not the full story. They're filled with regrets, with memories, with voices no one listens to anymore, We don't need more pills or pudding cups. We need to be remembered. We need to be seen. I'm not angry. Just hollow. That's the word. Hollow. Because something was taken from me the day Clara drove away. Not just freedom, not just comfort, but connection, the thread that tied me to the world. And I fear that once that thread is gone, all that's left is waiting. Time does strange things when you're old. It stretches in some places, shrinks in others. A week can feel like a day can feel like a lifetime. I tried to keep track at first marked little lines in my journal, the one I hid under my mattress. But eventually, the pages just blurred together. One morning, I thought I heard Ellie's voice in the hallway. My heart leapt. I stood up too quickly, almost fell. I straightened my collar, combed back what little hair I had left. I even practiced my smile in the mirror. But it wasn't her. Just another volunteer bringing flowers to someone else's room. I smiled anyway, even though my chest ached with disappointment. That was the 5th time that month I imagined her. And I knew it wouldn't be the last. You'd think a place like this would be filled with noisy nurses walking, phones ringing, doors opening and closing. But no, it's quiet. Quiet in the way cemeteries are quiet. Respectful. Still. Like everyone is afraid to disturb the fragile balance of life barely clinging to these walls. Some of the residents try to pretend. They paint. They play checkers. They watch television and laugh at jokes they don't understand. We're all performing here, trying to keep up the act until someone calls cut. There's a man named Walter down the hall. He used to be a professor, taught philosophy. Now he can't remember his daughter's name. But every morning he sits by the front door, dressed in a blazer and tie, holding a bouquet of fake flowers. "She's picking me up today," he says. She promised. He's been saying that for 3 years, and still every day he waits. I stopped waiting by the door a few months ago. It was too painful. I started writing instead, letters to Ellie. I wrote about my day, about the bird that came to my window, about the nurse who sang while changing sheets. I described the color of the sky, the sound of rain on the rooftop. I told her stories I made, up about kings and dragons and old men who outsmarted the world. But I never sent them. I didn't have her address. I wasn't even sure Clara would read them if I did. Still, writing them made me feel close to her, as if, somehow, my words would float into the air and find their way to her dreams. One day, a young nurse named Jamie found the letters. She didn't scold me. She sat and read one. Then she looked at me and said, "You should keep writing. One day she'll want to read them all." That night, I cried for the first time in years. Not because I was sad, but because someone finally saw me, really saw me. Jamie became my friend. She brought me real coffee from outside the home, told me about her dog, her boyfriend, her dream of becoming a writer. In return, I told her my stories. She said I reminded her of her grandfather. For the first time since Clara dropped me off, I didn't feel invisible. But even Jamie couldn't fill the space Ellie left behind. A space that echoed with birthday songs, with bedtime stories, with soft little hands wrapped around my fingers. I kept asking myself, what did I do wrong? Was I too much? Too forgetful? Too old? Did I say something that made Clara think I wasn't safe to be around her daughter anymore? Or was it something else? Something I'd never understand? Guilt is a heavy coat. You wear it even in the summer. I tried to call again, left another message. "Clara, it's me. Just wanted to say hi. I hope Ellie's doing well. Tell her Grandpa misses her." I hung up before the voicemail cut me off. Then I sat in my chair and stared at the wall. The beige wall. My universe. The next morning, a resident named Helen passed away, quietly. In her sleep. The staff wheeled out without much fuss. just another empty bed, another name removed from the chart. And I thought, what if that were me? What would they say? Would Clara even find out? Would Ellie ask where I went? Or would I simply vanish like a ghost, fading from an old photo? That night, I made a decision. I took every letter I had written to Ellie, over 40 of them, and gave them to Jamie. If anything ever happens to me, I said, promise you'll find her. Make sure she gets these. Jamie's eyes welled with tears. She nodded, and for the first time in a long time, I felt at peace. Not because I had hope, but because I had done all I could. It was a Sunday morning when I felt the shift. Not in my body, but in the silence. There was something about the air, the way it moved through the cracked window, gentle but intentional, like it was bringing something with it. Jamie walked in holding a package. She didn't say a word at first, just looked at me, eyes trembling, lips tight. Then she handed it over. "It's from your daughter," she whispered. I stared at it like it might vanish. My hand shook as I opened the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper folded neatly. Clara's handwriting. I hadn't seen it in years. "Dad," it read, "I don't know how to start this. Every time I tried to write, I stopped halfway because I was ashamed. I stopped breathing. The words on the page blurred, then sharpened again. I thought putting you in the home was the right decision. You were forgetting things. You seemed lost. I was scared. But I didn't want to face that fear. Oh, I made the easy choice. I distanced myself. I thought if I stayed away, it would hurt less. But it didn't. Ellie asked about you every week. I told her you were resting. But she didn't believe me. She stopped drawing. She started sleeping with the photo you took together in the backyard, the one with the garden hose and the sunflower hat. I saw your name on her Christmas list. Every single year. My hands trembled as I read. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve that. But I'm coming to see you. And Ellie is coming too, if you'll still have us. I put the letter down slowly. For a moment, I couldn't speak. Couldn't think. All I could feel was the pressure building behind my eyes, the same pressure I'd been holding back for years. I nodded to Jamie like a man who had just remembered how to breathe. That afternoon, I changed into my best shirt. Jamie helped me shave. I even used cologne what was left of it. At exactly 3:12 p.m., a black SUV pulled into the driveway. My heart raced like it hadn't in years. I waited in the lobby, hands folded, breath shallow. The doors opened. Ellie stepped in first. Taller now, hair longer. But those eyes, they hadn't changed. She looked around, then locked eyes with me. Her face lit up like the sun itself. "Grandpa!" she screamed, running to me, arms wide. I barely had time to stand before she was in my embrace. And just like that, the empty years fell away. Clara followed, slower, unsure. She looked older too. But beneath the tiredness, I saw something else: remorse. Real, raw remorse. "Dad," she whispered. I didn't let her finish. I reached for her hand. "We've lost enough time," I said. "Let's not waste what's left." We spent that afternoon talking, laughing, remembering. Ellie gave me a drawing she had made just that week, a picture of me, her, and a treehouse in the sky. I hung it on my wall before bedtime. That night, for the first time in years, I slept with the window open. Let the wind in, let the world in. But that wasn't the end. A few weeks later, Clara started bringing Ellie every Sunday. Then Tuesdays. Then Saturdays. She brought meals from home, brought photo albums, brought the past with Heron, let it live again. And slowly, like sunlight returning after a long winter, something in me bloomed. Not my memory, not my body, but my spirit. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was living. When people ask me now what changed, I tell them this: it wasn't medicine. It wasn't therapy. It was connection. It was being remembered, being loved. And maybe I'll never get back those lost years. Maybe I'll never dance at Ellie's wedding or hold her child in my arms. But I've held her hand again. I've heard her laugh. I've felt her warmth. Sometimes that's enough. Before you forget us, before we become names on dusty folders or photos in someone's attic, please remember, all we ever wanted was not to be left behind, not to be locked away in beige rooms with beige walls. We are not burdens. We are bridges, living histories. And all it takes is one visit to bring us back.